All right. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Anatoly, can you please confirm that everyone can hear me?
Everything can hear you.
All right, very good, thank you. Sorry, we had a little bit of a blank in between the video and some technical issues, so I apologize for that. My name is Laurent Dedenis. I'm the CEO of SIT Alimera, and I would like to thank everyone for joining this session today. And I'm extremely pleased to welcome a great set of speaker and guests today together with me. So first, we have Victor Batreyev together with me, who's part of Alimera team, who is a senior product director for SIT Alimera, and who will actually cover some question about the product and tell you about SIT Alimera Coding Lab. I'm sorry, virtual lab. So that will be a part of the session today. We will have also John McCarrick, who is a longtime partner and friend of Alimera, who is the head of global partner evangelism at Acronis and a user of SIT Alimera Virtual Lab for the past many months, that will share more about his experience. And we thanks John very much for joining us tonight. And then finally, we'll have Bojana Milosevic, who is the head of PR event at SIT and who will actually go through the demo of the coding lab together with Victor and myself. All together, we're going to be together for about 45 minutes. And we're going to talk about advancing online corporate training with virtual lab, right? So that's going to be the topic of the day. A few housekeeping before we start. We will have, as I mentioned, the demo and some statement and story around the vision of Alimera, which I will cover. Then we'll have John sharing his experience. We'll also have a Q&A session at the end that will be moderated by myself and Alexei, who is helping me with gathering questions. And we can actually keep this Q&A session or FAQ session going for as long as we need. So altogether between 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, before we dive into advancing online corporate training with Virtual Lab, I'd like to move forward and introduce to you briefly SIT ecosystem. Anatoly, please, thank you. SIT is Schaffhausen Institute of Technology, and it's basically a research company made of for-profit and not-for-profit organization. On one hand, we have SIT University, who's delivering degrees, SIT Master, as well as PhD programs and postdoc. And on the for-profit side, we find SIT Academy, which is the executive education part of SIT, together with SIT Alimera, SIT Alimera being a digital ecosystem for education and research, and that's what we're going to focus on tonight. But we also complete the ecosystem of SIT together with SIT Start Garden, right, which is basically targeting startup ecosystem where researchers and startups and students can basically collaborate and innovate together. Right. Then we have SIT Programming School, which is a pretty traditional programming school, and SIT Autonomous, which is one of the main research arm used by some of the faculties and professors on the university side, mostly focused on autonomous technology, but also on AI, on machine learning, and basically services for financial organization and based on MI technology and AI platform. So that's the ecosystem of SIT. And as I said, one of the focus tonight is to explain to you what SIT Alimera is all about. SIT Alimera is basically a platform made of three main components. On one hand, we've got the learning management, which is used for learning and teaching better, right? We basically help students to learn and transfer knowledge in a better way, and we help professors to teach better by using technology. And I'll come back to this particular point so that you understand what the vision around what we have started to build and what we're delivering today. The second component is education management, which is basically the back office of what a research institution or a higher education or university would need to basically manage operation and administration of a research or university center. And then finally, we have science management used to manage scientific and research events, and also help people to communicate through conference and improve researchers' collaboration overall. So tonight we're going to focus on the learning and the learning management. And I think the overall vision of SIT Alimera is really to help people to go through their learning journey and their learning journey all their life, right? I mean, we used to learn at specific point of time in our education, most of the time early in our life, and then at point of time when needed. We absolutely believe that now we have a need for continuous education. SIT Alimera platform aims to focus on helping people to be educated and to better learn all their life from their childhood all the way to the older age. And for that, we build a basic set of components, a central repository, which is called Alimera LMS for Learning Management System, which basically helps deliver content in the best and most interactive way possible. We also build Alimera Practicum, which is targeted at a specific exercise, universities and workshop. And then we have a coding lab, which is targeted at coding school and people that want to basically learn coding. And Alimera Virtual Lab, which we're going to focus on tonight, which is really targeted at corporations that want to help their employees and their team partner or their partner to learn how to use and how to teach an application better. Then we have Alimera Meet, which is on the collaboration side, and Alimera ERP, which is focused, as I said, on the back office of the universities. Now, let me go back to SIT Alimera vision on the learning side and some of the challenges faced by businesses and that we believe can basically be addressed by active learning. So active learning is the idea that you're going to be enabling students to actively learn by engaging him or engaging her better and providing a more interactive experience through different tools, through activities and tasks that will help him or help her to learn by doing. That goes all the way from the content to the practice, to the way the class is being built, to the way tutoring can actually be organized, as well as collaboration and the editing of classes and content. What we believe is that a content created for any employee or any partner or any customer should never be a static content anymore. This content should be alive, should be easily updatable, editable, should actually be able, you should actually be able to have direct engagement through different exercises. And the lab is actually a fantastic example of how active learning can actually be translated into technology. So we're going to spend a little bit more time on the lab. I just wanted to give a couple more points on the active learning concept around active tutoring and the idea also that this content should be entirely tailor-made for every single student that you can actually teach. So the idea is also to be able to personalize this content through data that you gather through the platform. So as people, employees, partner, and customer go through your lab, you basically learn how they do it, where they fail, where they succeed, what's the best way for them to learn, and you basically improve the overall journey and the overall experience that they have with learning your application or learning a particular process or going through a particular requirement certification. We believe that active learning is 10x more effective for online learning and takes 10x better insightful for students. It's also more interesting and we basically get better completion and better certification overall. Now let me go a little bit more in detail before we go through the demo to Alimera Virtual Lab. So Alimera Virtual Lab is a software for instructor-led and self-paced hands-on IT training. It works for literally any application, business application, complex application. And most of the use case we find are from independent software vendor or software vendor that manufacture platforms or applications where education can help people to be onboarded or help partners to increase knowledge or continuously keep them updated about what the application how the application is evolving and how the application is being basically updated. It provides automated assessment and also automatic grading, enabling you to scale the total number of students, let them be again partner, customer, or employees that you can train at the same time, right? You have a semi-automated lab authoring that helps you to create lab in a very short fashion. And tonight, the demo we have planned for you is basically demonstrating those unique features that helps your student to learn better and for you to essentially being able to create lab faster and make them more enjoyable. The way you should look at the lab is one process that you can infinitely replicate and edit and author so that it will fit the ever-changing needs of your software application. Now, without further ado, and for the product use case and demo, I would like to invite Bojana to basically walk us through. Bojana, please.
Thank you, Laurent. So yes, as we mentioned already, SATL Mira custom creates virtual learning environments to help you achieve desired training goals in no time. The delivered labs encourage deliberate practice through exercises, are open to experiments, and automatically generate real-world responses to your in-lab actions. So I would love now to go through a few most important things when it comes to SATL Mira Virtual Labs and to highlight four most important features. So first one is self-paced trainings. So self-paced trainings can be done at any time. So it doesn't require waiting when group is assembled to start the training with instructor. It doesn't require instructor interaction. And hand-on practice improves training efficiency in comparison to traditional passive trainings that includes only text and video. So because of better understanding, I would just love to go and to give you some usage examples. So one of them can be that you can educate internal staff and clients how to use your software at any time. So it could be SaaS-based, desktop applications, or any complex IT systems. Another example would be that you can train how to deploy, configure, and operate complex local and cloud environments. And number two is instructor-led hands-on trainings. So using SATL Mira Virtual Labs, you can improve group training's efficiency by mixing theoretical and practical parts. You can give all students exercises during your training. Exercises will start for all students at the same time, but you can limit time for the exercise and track students' progress in real time. You can give them homework assignments. You can join student session to help them with some assignments, and works both for online and offline trainings. Then we have IT certifications. Using SATL Mira Virtual Labs, you can build certification exams. It allows you to prepare complex environment to the exam. You can randomize the environment by using custom actions during the lab preparation. And you can limit time required to pass the exam. Set up automatic assignment, for example, as well. So here is a real case how the labs could be used for this. So software vendor has complex software that is deployed as a cluster consists of 5 or more servers. Let's say they have courses that educate partners how to deploy the cluster and troubleshoot any issues with it. These courses are not limited by time. After completion of the courses, a client can pass certification. To get the certificate, the client should pass the lab limited by time. In this lab, he gets or she gets an access to the cluster where something is randomly broken. So the client must identify the issue and fix it. After that, the lab automatically checks that the issue is fixed, that nothing else was broken in the cluster, and that is the operation. Then we have sales enablement and product demos. So you can get 24/7 demo access to isolated environment to any prospect who wants to evaluate your products. You can also use SATL Mira Virtual Labs to give your clients access to new versions of the products. So let's go again through the real usage example. So when new version of product is released, companies typically send their clients release notes with the list of new features. And often these new features are widely adopted initially. But you can increase the adoption rate by offering not just the text description, but also a short demo lab that guides clients through how to use these new features. This will definitely greatly increase the adoption. And to wrap all of this up, I would like to invite my colleague to show you the demo. After that, you're willing to ask any questions that you have.
Hi, everyone. So today we're going to go ahead and demonstrate how easy it is to create a new lab using our product. We're going to go ahead and use the example of one of our partners, Acronis, who Acronis is a cyber cloud solution, which is multi-tiered, multi-tenant cloud-based solution for service providers. And we're going to go ahead and create a very short lab to demonstrate to our education partners and business partners how they can create a new custom tenant in the Acronis console. So let's go ahead and get started. So we go ahead and click here, adding a new lab. And in this case, we have two options. We can access the coding lab in order to learn how to program, and then we have our software labs. So for today, we're going to go ahead and do a software lab where we can choose from one of these predefined environments from which we can essentially build our own environment. This could be a single environment, a virtual machine, or it can be more complex environment consisting of multiple machines that combine into one question, for example. So for today's purposes, we are going to go ahead and use the base Windows virtual machine. So we click here and get started. And now being on this page, we're ready to create the content. So we click on add custom action. Again, we have a selection of actions configured in our library, and we can create a new partner tenant, Acronis Cyber Cloud, by clicking on this first button here for partner tenant. And this partner tenant will be used by a user essentially to do the demo. So every user will do the lab as the leader. And there are two main ways to do it. The first is to write the content for the lab. Everything here you can fill in. You can simply do that, as well as adding various steps and using placeholders and any relevant information that students might need for the course. And alternatively, you can add a course by using the lab recorder feature, which we do here. If you record a lab, it makes it easier in terms of running your environment, and you can simply just log into the Acronis console and set the performance excellence to set the expectations you have for your students. And we can go through all the steps essentially one by one, again, filling in all this information. As you can see in the environment, we can add in general information. We can select all of our administrative details, putting in our names, our emails, etc. Until we get to this section here where we can set up our configuration for the course. All the way through here in terms of also the pre-workload and the expectations. Once everything is set up and this has been prepared, you can stop the recording. Or then we can automatically see the generated instructions on the side, which appear here. And you can do the recording again if you need to, or also modify the task as needed. So let's say, for example, we want to modify the task. We can add a step. We can edit the text. There's many different things that we can essentially access. Also including adding hints here, for example, which, for example, a hint that can be very useful to add is a screenshot. So by clicking on this button, I'm able to insert here directly. And then we can come back to our main view where we have the first configuration by going back to the show environment. And here we have the lab content, and now as the next step, what we can do is we can also add the automatic assessment for the lab. So as you can see at the beginning, we have all of our login information, we have the lab until all the way at the end. We can then click on this add acceptance criteria button, which takes us to the second tab. And again, we have a set of actions. Each configuration in the library, we can select one of these and then check them with the students did in fact create this lab. So we'll go ahead and check tenant, and then we can click the next button here. So then we can click OK, and we can also add the automatic assessment checking, which we do by clicking the add custom action again. And once more, we have a set of actions here that we can create the final step, which is the cleanup stage. So we click this button where we talk about delete partner tenant. Once more, we go ahead And now we can see the full set. We can see that our lab has been created with all the relevant information, including hints. We can see that we have set up the check tenant as well as the final stage for deleting and the cleanup phase. Once everything is ready here, we can go ahead and finalize by publishing. So we click publish. And here we can see that if you're using our LMS, the content will appear directly here. If you are using a different LMS, you can still integrate our labs. You just simply need to copy and paste these settings into your LMS and the lab will appear embedded. So that's the very simple process in terms of setting up a lab. Let's go ahead and take a look, clicking OK, and let's go ahead and take a look from the student perspective to see how that might work. So now we're back at the home page and you can see that I'm logged in as a student in the SIT Alimera LMS. We can see the list of courses that I'm taking, and we're going to go ahead and open the Acronis Cyber Cloud. As usual, in the intro, you can see some information and then you can immediately start the course. It takes us to a page where I can access course materials, including all the various texts as well as videos. And at the very end, I can see that I have an action I can take, which is to take the lab. So we can start that, and we can see that we have information on the course on the left, and on the right, we have the environment for the course, which is ready to go. So you can go ahead and log into the Acronis Cyber Cloud and start to create a new tenant. So basically, I can walk through here and go through all the actions as before. And if I get stuck, I can click here where I can see that screenshot that was initially added before. And then I can move forward and go to the final step until essentially I complete. And once I've completed, it brings me to my score, which has been run through the automatic assessment. And if needed, I have the option to retake the course by clicking the button, or I can continue to the next course in order to move forward in the overall lab. And that's it. So thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, we can address those later on. And thank you.
All right, Alicia, Boyana, thank you so much for this demo. As you can see, the automatic assessment as well as the flexibility of the lab provides multiple benefits for organizations that want to enhance the experience of dealing with a software application. And we're going to go through this together with John in a minute. Now, let me come back on some of the genuine benefits of the lab. So first, the way the lab authoring works, and I'm sure you could see this in the demo, is really making it very easy for people to first edit and author very rapidly, as well as record or re-record the lab in some faster fashion, right? So that provides a better authoring and automation of the course of the lab sequence, allowing you to create many different labs in a very easy fashion. Now, the lab also gives you the ability to deploy in isolated sandbox, on demand, and reduce the cost of running specific environment for people to test or for people to try or for doing POC or pilot with your customer. Then, of course, the lab is available 24/7. Right? I mean, you can get this on a self-paced training program. You can get it on a synchronous or asynchronous environment. And you basically allow people to come back to the lab anytime they wish, and they want to go through the automatic guided steps of the particular lab. Then, of course, it scaled very well. Right, mostly because of the automated and guided assessment, and also because of thanks to the automated grading. Right, so those are some of the benefits that are provided by the lab. And instead of me continuing praising Alimera Lab, let me hand it over to John McCarrick, who he is actually a long-time user of the lab and who would like to share his experience. John, please, thank you for joining us tonight.
No worries. A couple of things as we get started, to give you some sense of why the Alamira Virtual Lab is so impactful for our team. I need to probably tell you a little bit about what life was like prior to having that lab. Every single time we had a class, and we were having live classes at that point only, every single time we had a live class, and let's say I had 200 or 300 people in the course, I had to create 200 or 300 independent environments in our SaaS product, which required me to spend hours just creating usernames and passwords and enabling. And even when we were able to do that, the end user still did not have an environment. Our product interacts with servers and PCs. We are a backup and cyber protection company with the ability to do antivirus and so forth. And so they need to actually apply our software to environments. And so even when I created this empty shell for them, they still didn't have an environment to which they could apply it. So if they wanted to participate in the labs, they would need to provide their own environments, which was very difficult for many folks, especially smaller vendors who didn't necessarily have those sort of resources available. Additionally, all of our lab information were in just Word documents. We just had Word documents that you followed along with. We would go through those labs during the course of the class and have an expectation that you would go on independently, take those labs afterward, following along with the Word document, and then have, if you had any questions, come back later and ask your questions. And as you can imagine, all of this created a lot of overhead for our team in terms of just managing the lab. And the lab itself wasn't even the primary purpose of the course, which was, of course, the distribution of information about how to use the software in the first place. These were all entirely a distraction from our main mission, which was disseminating information about our product. So when we started working with Alamira about discussing what it was that our needs were, they were very responsive, and we were able to build out a solution using their technology that allowed us to do a couple of things. The first thing it allowed us to do is have multiple courses. You saw during the demonstration just one little module. A course might have as many as 10 or even 12 modules in it. And then we have multiple courses. We have 18 courses that we have in our certification program. And so those products, each one of those 18 courses has its own set of labs. And so we were able to create separate, unique labs. And every time a user goes in to take that lab, they are then, it's simultaneously, an API queue is created so that a user is created in our SaaS system automatically. And they also spin up the environments that are necessary for that user to then utilize the lab system. So that they have all of the ability to do everything from the moment they log in. And then, of course, as you saw in the demo, on the left-hand side of the screen, they're presented with their instructions. On the right-hand side of the screen, they have their environment, so they don't have to go back and forth between documents and so forth. And as our product changes, and it does, our product changes all the time, new features are added and so forth, so new modules need to be inserted. We can go in and insert new instructions into the system without having to start over again from scratch. So updating those systems has been an incredibly important part for any SaaS product where things are being constantly updated as it is. And we make a few changes to the instructions and we are ready to go with an updated version of our lab. Finally, it's important to note scale here. We have literally had thousands of users come through the system. And on many days, we have multiple hundreds of users coming in one day in one time. And as I mentioned, we have live classes. We also offer now, because of the virtual lab's ability to help us reach that goal, the ability to offer on-demand versions of our courses where they can come in 24/7, take it in their boxer shorts in the middle of the night if they prefer, without having to deal with anyone else and take those courses. And of course, many users prefer a live course because they get to ask their questions, and some learners need that. For scheduling purposes, sometimes it's difficult to get your manager to schedule for an on-demand class, but they'll schedule for a live class. And because of that, we continue to maintain having a full slate of live classes. And so having the ability to have the same lab experience, regardless of whether you came in for a live course or whether you came in for an on-demand course, is excellent. It means that you're getting the same level of experience with the products. And finally, with regard to that, we encourage our customers, take as many of the live courses as you're comfortable with. And if you don't have time to take all of our courses live, you can come in and take on-demand courses. So it's the ability to mix and match those courses and still have the same experience, regardless of which way you're going through. That really makes the virtual lab important for us in maintaining a consistent experience for our partners. I think that's what I wanted to share. Do you have some prompts for me, Laurent?
No, John, thank you so much for sharing this detail. We really appreciate it, and thank you again for your time. Can I ask you for maybe a last contribution? I was watching the feed of questions that was coming from the chat, and I thought one of the questions was pretty cool to ask you. So let me read it to you. In which ways can this virtual lab provide the same, if not better, quality of employee training in comparison to offline trainings? I mean, from your own standpoint.
Yeah, so the virtual labs are designed to be interactive. One of the things that we do with our virtual labs is that as you're going through the on-demand material, as you get to certain points during the on-demand material, it then takes you into the lab directly from our LMS. So it's not a separate experience, it's an integrated experience. As part of the learning, you're getting a little bit of lecture, you're getting then a little bit of a demo, and then it says, here, now do the lab, so that you have an integrated experience. And we have it worked out such that when you get to the lab end of the lab experience, it checks whether or not you successfully completed the lab before allowing you to continue on. It gives you all sorts of hints in the event that you need more hints. So even though there's not somebody who's live, walking you through it, you really feel like you've been assisted all along the way so that you're not left on your own.
All right, very good. John, there is one more question. I'm sorry, I mean, that's how it works, right? As you answer a question, people want to ask you more.
Sure.
Did Alimera require a lot of development before launching the first course for acronyms?
Of course. We were there from the very outset. So we had the benefit of knowing what we didn't have. We were able to help design some requirements around that. So we were very early in the process. But one of the things that we learned early on is that our problems are not unique. The problems that we were setting before the team were universal and apply to all education settings, not just in the corporate environment, but also in the education environment, where learners need to be able to have an interactive experience that is automated so that they can take it 24/7, which is really important nowadays, especially with so few of us being able to be in person.
All right. John, thank you so much. Really appreciate your contribution here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Alexei, let me go through some more questions as we have more coming. The future might be more online, but the benefits of human instruction and interaction remains important. How can we ensure not to lose the value of one-to-one learning through online platforms? I'm going to take this question, Victor, and I think, I mean, this is a pretty broad question. I think we need to look at technology today as complementary to this face-to-face interaction and human interaction, right? We also need to be mindful of the ability to scale and train more people through using better technology, probably in a more engaging and interactive way, but also more pervasive. So I don't think the lab is a standalone tool that addresses all the problems of a particular organization. I think, however, that it's a fantastic complementary element to either synchronous or asynchronous training for individual or large group. And as such, it provides you the flexibility to include it as part of your coaching, as part of your online training delivery, as part of your group training. And it simply improves and increases the awareness and the experience of the learners throughout the journey. Right? I think the ability for people to do it at their own pace is actually what matters in the online education. So I don't think online education is trying to limit or to make the human intervention and interaction disappear. I think it's actually trying to enhance it as a whole. All right, what do we have? One more. How can business benefit from online corporate training? What are the main benefits for both an employee satisfaction and business perspective? So let me also take this question. So how can business benefit from online corporate training? Well, I think it's quite clear that educating and sharing knowledge has become part of any businesses, right? If you take the software business, for instance, which Acronis is in, you could think of application being built and being updated on a less frequent basis in the past. It used to be a yearly version, right? You probably remember of XYZ 95 and XYZ 2000 and XYZ 2010, and the frequency and the evolution of a software or a platform was relatively slow and enabling you to train large number of people across the year. Now, what you see happening is a large number of applications becoming very agile in the software industry, changing all the time, and the ability for you to update your training is becoming paramount if you want your employees to live with it and follow through, as well as your customer to learn about new functionalities and updates, as well as partner to understand how the evolution of the software has taken, has basically been done in the past 2 weeks, in the past 4 weeks, in the past 6 weeks. So this idea of continuous education, the idea that you can actually enable fast editing of the lab and fast authoring and fast recording of the lab, as well as many of the other elements that Alimera provides, give you this flexibility to constantly update and follow the pace of your business. So I think that's probably how you need to look at the best impact or the main impact of technology through corporate training.
Laurent, could I add something?
Of course.
And that is from a practical standpoint for our team, what we've seen is that our partners who end up taking our training and participating and so forth, they sell more than twice as many units of our software because they feel comfortable and confident with it, and having hands-on experience with the product adds to that. And then also simultaneously, we've seen a large decline in the number of support requests made by those same partners, about 25% fewer support requests by those partners, because again, they're confident, they already know the answer. They don't have to ask us, they know the answer to the question. They've had their hands on the software, they know how it works.
True. Thank you very much, John, for that. Okay, Alexei, do we have any more questions, please? All right, one more question coming through. That will probably be the last one, as it will run on time. This question is for Victor. Victor, question about what environment do we support for the lab creation, and what application can actually be used as part of the lab?
So we support virtually any environment. Often it's used with SaaS applications, so that's web-based application when you learn how to use software, like web-based software in browser. It's used to learn how to use some products. It's also used to learn how about some internal processes. So many organizations have quite complex backend office, and they have complex processes within the CRM, ERP, or any other like back office systems. And they also not only products evolve, right? So business processes are improved constantly as well. So when you introduce new process, you also want to educate your employees how to use these new processes, how to follow them, so you can build labs explaining how to do this in your back office. You can use our labs to educate how to use desktop applications, how to work with complex IT environments. You can use how to work like in how to operate your infrastructure with some DevOps labs, how to deploy systems in public clouds like Azure, Amazon, Google, whatever. So there are multiple applications to our virtual labs, and virtually any company that use some software can use labs to train internal employees. Especially that's very important when you onboard new employees. So to quickly onboard you, they must pass a lot of trainings, and the labs really helps to improve the trainings efficiency. And you can also educate your partners, clients, and as we just seen on example of Acronis.
All right. Thank you very much, Victor. All right. I think we got right on time. I'd like to invite you to watch the recording at the following link, or go to alimera.com for any information about the platform. I would like to thank again the team, and of course, John, for joining us tonight. And this will actually close our presentation of the virtual lab from Alimera. We're looking forward to having you getting back to us and asking questions about how we can help your organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you.